go.
All right. I'd like to call the City of Riverside Planning Commission meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Could we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Present.
welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Owens,
Present.
Mr. Dowdell,
Here.
and Mr. Vasquez.
Present.
Thank you.
And tonight, we are missing Mr. Rogers. Is there a motion to excuse? He has the flu, and we don't want his germs.
I'll make a motion.
In your mic, please.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Owens, a second by Mr. Vasquez. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, at this time, is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
None, Madam Chair.
All right. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
So moved. I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Vasquez, a second by Mr. Owens to approve the agenda as published. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, once again, I will reiterate that we must have a speaker request form filled out if you wish to speak during a case that's on our agenda tonight. Also, some basic, just some housekeeping here. This is the March 18th, 2026 regular meeting of the Riverside Planning Commission. The purpose of this meeting is to hear the cases that have been publicly advertised. Notice of this meeting has been properly provided and all material have been made available for public review by city staff. The following rules apply to tonight's meeting. Please silence all cell phones. If you need to take a call, please step out to do so. Be courteous and respectful to the Planning Commission, the applicants, and your fellow citizens. The meeting is being recorded. Anyone wishing to speak must come to the podium when called. Comments may not be made from your seat and must only pertain to the issue on the agenda tonight. Also, you will read the oath that is on the podium, and you will state your name and your address for the record. And if you could spell the name for our clerk that does our minutes, I would appreciate it. The forms are in the back of the room. Agendas also and staff reports and meeting materials have been made available on riverside.gov. If there is a long agenda or many speakers, the chair may limit public comments. All public comments will be kept to 3 minutes per person with no repeats. At the end of public comments, the applicants will be given a 5-minute rebuttal. When the applicant gives their initial comments, there is no limit. There is no limit for staff as they give their report. All comments and questions must be directed at the chairperson, that is me, and not directly at the applicant or at staff, and I will direct the question to the person appropriate. Okay, moving on to the approval of the minutes for February 18th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a motion from my commissioners?
So moved. I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Vasquez and a second by Mr. Owens to approve our minutes as published. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, we will now move into our first case. I will open our public hearing for PC case number 26-0002. This is concerning 115 Woodman Drive, a major final site plan review with parking waiver for a 946 square foot coffee kiosk in the B2 zoning district. This is partial ID I390011400018. At this time, staff, do you have a report?
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. I, Nia Holt, affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is true to the best of my knowledge. Address is 5200 Springfield Street, Riverside, Ohio, 45431.
And Ms. Holt, on your report that was printed, it does say BZA case, not a PC case.
Oh, thank you. All right, so this is PC case 26002. You will notice that the address is 115 Woodman Drive, but it actually is the outlot of 101 Woodman. It is proposed to develop that outlot to the coffee kiosk with 2 drive-through lanes. The entrance will utilize the existing signalized drive that is off of Woodman across from McDonald's. This right here is the zoning map showing the B2 zoning district that was formerly there. Now we have a new zoning map. We'll get into that later. If you can go to the next slide. This is the subject property where you will see the outlot previously mentioned where the lot will be developed. This is the aerial where you can see that entrance that I mentioned that's across from the Airway Shopping Center. The dark blue is where the proposed development will go in. So you can see the adjacent property to the north, the Celtic Dance area, the Dent Repair Shop, and also that drive entrance. This is adjacent property to the south. There is the Service Center, PG Global, and then, of course, the Airway Shopping Center across the street on Woodman Drive. This is the site plan for the proposed drive-through coffee business. You can see the 2 lanes. Now, we have requested some revisions, and those revisions are being reviewed by our staff as we speak. But this site plan review and the staff report was put together prior to those revisions being received, some of which is the elimination of, you can see in your report versus what's here. They've already done it, eliminating 3, if you can kind of point that out. I don't know if you can from there, yes. Eliminating parking spaces, I guess it's not showing. Okay, it won't show. To make it easier for those vehicles exiting, and there won't be any conflict there. So this is the proposed entrance of the business. And then this is the area that is, if you can use your imagination, where the cars will be exiting. This is the elevations of the area, so you can, of the business, so you can kind of see what the architectural design is. And of the code that was submitted, this would meet those standards of review. And again, a look at the existing signalized access that will be utilized. So this does use the same drive as the daycare center that is on 101 Woodman. So there would be a shared access and parking area, and there is a negotiation of a shared agreement happening now. So you will see in their conditions, the city is requesting a copy of that shared agreement. So we do find that this is consistent with our comprehensive plan, that there is adequate circulation on site, and it was designed for sufficient parking given that agreement goes through for parking and for the drive-through operations, and it will have minimal impact, at least for what we're seeing now on the existing uses on the site. So we do recommend approval of the site plan and the parking reduction with the recommendations outlined in your staff report. Are there any questions?
So have we looked at the sign that is already located on the property? the youth land, the daycare sign that looks like, according to the map, and that will be right where possibly the sidewalk and that would be?
We would have to get an answer. We don't have a sign plan as of yet. And that's something we talk with the applicant about, but they're here and they could probably talk more about if they have plans for that sign.
Okay, I'll save my questions to after the applicant then. All right. At this time, would the applicant like to speak?
Yes. My name is Andrew. Now I can stop. Yes, my name's Andrew Gardner, 6628 Burbank Place, Westerville, Ohio. I am the civil engineer for the applicant. I, Andrew Gardner, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before this planning commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what we're proposing is a new Dutch Brothers Coffee location. The site is basically an underused parking lot at this time, so, we think it's a great improvement for the area. A couple things I did want to point out, just to immediately address your question on the sign. The owner has committed to removing that sign, so it will no longer be, necessary with the improvement. We'll be removing that. Couple other things I wanted to point out. We did address several comments from staff. I think we resubmitted them last week. Those comments included striping out 3 of the parking spaces where our drive-through exit is, just to avoid some vehicular conflicts. We were able to make that work for you. We did include in the resubmittal an exhibit of the shared parking agreement area that we are working out with the owner as well. We also showed a sidewalk along the frontage of Woodman Drive. On the site plan that was resubmitted, we showed the sidewalk actually on our parcel because there's a roadside ditch on Woodman Drive currently, and we were trying to preserve that drainage. However, at about 4:05 this afternoon, I did receive an email back from your city engineer indicating that they're going to require that ditch being closed and the sidewalk being moved back into the right-of-way. I don't know if any of you have seen that communication yet, but I guess we would just ask that the sidewalk be a condition subject to, being installed to the satisfaction of your city engineer. We don't have a problem building the sidewalk. There was just some question as to where and how that was going to be located. I believe we've addressed all the other items. We did submit a photometric plan as well with the resubmittal. And with that, I think it's a pretty straightforward project, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant at this time?
Yes, I do. I was reading that it'll be constructed to queue up 24 vehicles at any peak time. If you exceed 24, what is the plan?
It's a good question. Really, if you exceed 24, I think that's pretty unusual that we would exceed 24 at this location. That's a pretty significant amount of vehicular stacking, and it's why we provide the 2 lanes. If we did exceed 24, I would anticipate that they would either have to park within the shared parking area and wait, or potentially walk up to the kiosk. The one benefit to this site is because we are not using a direct access to the right-of-way, you would not have vehicles. I don't think there's any feasibility of vehicles, stacking back up onto the public street. Worst case scenario, they would probably line up in front of that dumpster area across our drive.
Thank you.
David? Mr. Owens? Okay. So when you said the owner said that they would remove the sign or allow you to remove it, that sign belongs to Youthland. So are you working with the Youthland Academy or the owner of the property?
I'm going to check with my client. Hold on a moment. Yes, we are working with Youthland.
Okay, all right. Because just want to make sure. Also, I guess more of a comment, because you probably can't answer this yet, but make sure when you work with our engineer, I'm concerned about the drainage pipes that go out in front of that property, and whether or not they are the drainage pipes that have the holes that allow to make sure that we still keep that drainage going, or if they're just straight pipe coming in from somewhere else to drain into the main drainage system there. So I'm hoping, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say I have some concern. We know that Riverside and our rainwater and that we have issues with that, so we just want to make sure all that's being looked at very carefully.
Yes, we've definitely looked at that already, and we'll be addressing that with our final engineering drawings. That catch basin that's out front is actually the outlet structure of the entire parking lot area, so we'll be kind of reworking a lot of that storm sewer internal to the site, reconnecting it in, and again, based on the comments from your engineer this afternoon, probably be moving that catch basin and reworking it to make room for the sidewalk, but it will be addressed.
Okay. And so you don't anticipate any problem with traffic from your business and the students going in and out of Youthland Academy? There'll be buses and everything coming and going from there?
No, we don't. Again, we feel we have sufficient stacking on the site, so, additional vehicles, backing up to that parking lot, we don't feel will be an issue.
Okay, all right. Make sure I got all my notes. Okay, any other questions for the applicant at this time? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to resident comments, and forgive me, I have to try to read handwriting. So, is it Marcy?
Yes, I'm sorry, I broke my wrist.
That's okay.
and writing is very difficult.
Thank you for stopping me before I get to the last name.
It's perfect.
Percy. Yes, no, that's fine. Would you like to speak?
Yeah.
If you'll come to the mic, please.
So I'm Marcy Percy, and my address, my home address, 8574 Baltimore Phillipsburg Road, Brookville, Ohio, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. And I've
Thank
never
you.
spoke before you guys, so.
You're fine.
And I've been a part of your planning a couple years ago. But, and I appreciate, you guys all read my email, I'm sure.
Yes.
And so I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. Just a couple of things that I did want to say that I hadn't, because Naya and I had a conversation before I wrote that email. And one of the things that she mentioned was and I know this has more to do about the site planning, but, I'm just talking about the planning of Riverside and its businesses and the strengths of the businesses therein. And Naya didn't feel like, Dutch Brothers Coffee was a direct competition to Pettibone Coffee, your small business in the area. However, I did look up the Dutch Brothers menu, and their menu literally overlaps 75% of my menu. And I know that's not your guys' concern, but in a
Right.
way it is a concern when you're talking about the strength of Riverside planning its businesses. And as far as the traffic flow, these.
But Marcy, I have to say, I have to keep things very
Yeah.
specific to
Yes,
the
okay.
case,
So
which
the
is
case-
just the site plan.
Gotcha. So is it, in regards to the traffic flow, I know it looks all pretty on the piece of paper, but I can tell you, I've seen those kiosks, even with 7 Brew going up on Linden, what everybody is screaming about is the traffic flow. And so that traffic flow is a very big concern for me and my adjoining neighbors. And, they will have the benefit of the light. All I have is more traffic coming through. That makes it very difficult for people to get in and out of my business safely. In fact, I've seen people do really crazy, unsafe things just trying to navigate that area because of what's already happening there. During that big site plan thing 2 years ago, they were actually looking at putting in a roundabout in that area to help with that flow of traffic. So that's not there, but yet you're only going to be adding to all the chaos that is Woodman Airway and that junction in there. So that is my concern, and that's, I guess, all I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having a business in Riverside. Okay, next up is Charles Nash.
I don't have anything to speak on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're 04. I'm so sorry.
You're good, you're good.
Okay. I don't have any other forms for PC case 260002. So at this time, I will close the public hearing and we'll go into deliberation. We do deliberate in front of you because it's all public. So any comments or discussion at this time?
I have a question for staff on this.
Okay, so let me open the public meeting because those comments need to be on the record in the public hearing. Did you get that?
Yes.
I have a question for staff. On the site plan, the reduction of parking lots on that large building at 101 Woodman, does that affect the occupancy rate that can go into that other portion that currently is unleased?
And no, and that's why they are doing the joint parking agreement. The code that this was submitted under allows them to meet that standard by having that agreement.
Okay. I was just curious. Because that would be nice to have the other portion of that lot fully occupied.
So we do have UFLAM, but they also have a multi-tenant
Right.
building there that is slowly becoming occupied.
Oh,
Any other questions for staff?
Yes. Has there been a parking study done on that way? That Woodman Drive area?
Mean
right
traffic
there?
study?
Yeah, traffic study. Sorry, I said parking, didn't I?
Yeah,
So.
It's been a while, guys.
I know.
So our engineer did work with their team,
Mm.
and that is where that, you will see in your staff report, those peak times came, looking at those.
So,
Yeah,
okay, the
yep.
numbers that I was inquiring about.
Yes, correct. Mhm.
And I'm sorry, applicant, did you have any rebuttal for anything that was brought up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions, or are we ready to close the public hearing and move into deliberation? So I'm closing the public hearing on PC case 260002, and we will go into deliberation. Does anyone have any idea of which way they'd like to go? A motion on the floor. Chair would entertain a motion. Okay.
I have a concern about the,
Microphone.
I just have a concern about the design of the entrance and exit there with the parking and the additional removal of the parking and the agreements. That's my only concern on the whole thing, is the additional parking. The additional traffic that it generates is going to be an additional concern. I go through that intersection 4 times a day, 20 times a week, peak hours, lunch, dinner, all the time. I'm a local resident there, and it does worry me having an additional building in that sight line there, adding additional congestion, because that area is very congested. And that does have a concern for me as a resident, is having that additional building and the sight lines around the traffic and everything, just having additional stuff just concerns me.
Traffic flow is my concern. I've already been witness 7 Brew in Beaver Creek spilling out almost to North Fairfield. So that could get pretty heavy there.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I had some of the same concerns. Although there's a lot of empty space right now, if that building gets rented or sold and offices go in there, then that parking area could become quite congested. So my concern is that because they're coming in at the light, that the patrons may not think to try to take it off the road, but just line up as they're coming in, and therefore could end up blocking that intersection or that light. That was one of my concerns, that basically when they come up this way, they would just come right around versus trying to come out and go this way. Does that make sense to commissioners? Like, that's my concern. Same is the flow. We know that coffee is everybody's nemesis right now, which is a good thing for all of our coffee shops. I'm guilty of being in line or, stopping by one on a regular basis. But I am concerned with as much traffic as we see there, without having a plan of if it would get backed up to the entrance coming from the light, of how they could stack the cars along the back of their property, but then not blocking the main drive, and then maybe going further down the parking spaces versus lining up and going out to Woodman.
So, Madam Chair and the inquiring commissioners, from a legal standpoint, maybe this will help your deliberations. The staff recommendation on this site plan, there are two motions on this case, the site plan and the parking waiver. But for the site plan, there are 6 conditions of approval that are listed in the staff report. I would direct, and I'm going to also suggest a 7th based on the city engineer's comments. But based on the questions and the concerns from the commission, the first condition of approval would require a revised site plan by April of this year to be submitted to city staff, it's particularly outlining the site frontage and ensuring that all applicable, accessibility and other safety standards are met, which I'm sure the applicant would take into account the commissioner's discussions tonight. The third recommended condition for approval specifically speaks to parking access and traffic flow, and ensuring that an access agreement for the delivery zone and for other vehicular circulation is properly provided for, and that's due to the city, as we would recommend, by June 30 of this year. And then, based on the discussions and as the applicant stated, our city engineer did provide comments back to the applicant this afternoon. I would also, from a legal standpoint, if the commissioners do make a motion to recommend approval of this case with conditions, that a 7th condition be added that indicates that the sidewalk shall be constructed pursuant to the approval of the city engineer to ensure drainage and other safety standards for infrastructure. If that helps with the deliberations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes. Any other deliberations?
So I just want to ask and just clarify. So we're looking and we're either approving or making a motion, but there's a lot of things in the if. So, there's other things that need to be turned in, especially in regards to traffic flow, sidewalk. I would want to see those prior to making any type of decision. So I believe we have an option to postpone until we see those things. I think that would be for me, that's probably the way that I would want to go.
So Commissioner Hairston, from a legal standpoint, the options that would respond to that inquiry specifically would be, as you stated, to postpone to a date certain, to table until an indefinite date, until it's removed from the table, or just also as a legal point of order, if a motion is made and carried with conditions that this commission deems fit tonight, if by the deadlines in those conditions, if those conditions are not met, then the approval would expire. That's just another issue to consider if action is desired tonight. There are some safeguards. If the conditions aren't met, they are part of the approval. If conditions are not met, the approval is then null and void.
So, and I think I understand what you're saying, but it seems like there are things in regards to sidewalk that if we approve it, we won't know what that would look like or what that would necessarily be because we got to see how they plan on fixing it for that condition, correct?
That is correct. The conditions would come to staff for review, and then if there are major questions in terms of do they actually comply with the conditions for approval, it'd be another conversation to have with the Planning Commission.
And I will say some of the things have been submitted, and they are being reviewed now by staff. But we, per your bylaws, send things to you 10 days ahead.
Mhm.
So they were not with us by the time we were writing this report.
Understood.
Is there a motion on the floor?
I make a motion to postpone PC case number 26-0002, the site plan waiver, with the conditions listed from staff based on the report, City of Riverside, the comprehensive plan, evidence and testimony heard today, until our next meeting or next scheduled meeting for the applicant to provide more information and/or modify the plan at hand so that we can see what that development would look like as final.
Second.
And that date is April 16th, just so it's clear. Notice will be resent, but just so everyone knows when that date is, it's April 16th.
And applicant, is 1 month enough time for you to get those things together?
April 15th.
Yes, 1 month is sufficient. I guess I would just like to state that, we were told by the city engineer that a traffic study wasn't required for this. And we have resubmitted, I think, everything that's been asked for. We did get it to you 7 days in advance, not 10 days in advance. So your staff does have it, your engineers are looking at it. But yes, 1 month is sufficient.
I think some of the concern is we've sort of began to make it a practice not to have so many conditions before we make approval sometimes. And I think there's just some concern according to commissioners.
I would like to ask, did I heard some reference to the Seven Brew traffic. Did they provide a traffic study for their project?
I don't recall.
No.
Again, I would just like to point out, I think I've seen the Seven Brew site. I believe it has direct access onto the right-of-way. Our site does not, so, the concern of stacking out into Woodman Drive really is not going to happen. You'd be stacking 50, 60 cars at that point to make that happen. So I think our traffic pattern is sufficient. I think we have sufficient stacking for the site. But we'll continue to work with staff to try to, address your concerns.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to postpone to our next meeting, PC case number 26-0002. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes?
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Dowdell,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ms. Holt is correct, it's the 15th. I apologize for that.
So April 15th, just work with staff, and then we'll rehear the case
Call you tomorrow.
in April. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Madam Chair, just to make sure it's clear, that was a motion regarding the site plan. I would presume that the waiver for the parking waiver request would like to be consolidated into that postponement as well. Just for the
That's,
record.
I believe, what Mr. Hairston stated.
Was it for both?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you.
It's okay. Sorry, I thought maybe I misunderstood. Okay. All right, moving on to opening the public hearing for PC case number 26-0004. This is an unaddressed parcel, a design waiver to allow an alternative fencing material along 155 feet of fence in the R1 zoning district. This is concerning parcel ID I3900 512-0004. Staff, Mr. Smith, I believe, is handling this one.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I, Cody Smith, do affirm that the testimony given in the case now in hearing is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. Address is 5200 Springfield Street, Riverside, Ohio, 45431. All right. Planning Commission case 26004 for an unaddressed parcel at Carlton at Beatrice Drive. You can see the zoning here is R1. The parcel in question is the large parcel on the north side of the zoning map here. You have the entrance to the subject property. And again, an aerial map that shows the 9-acre parcel that is there to the north of Beatrice Drive. Site photos, again, this is the adjacent property to the west on Beatrice and the adjacent property to the east on Beatrice. This is the fence line that is currently being constructed on the parcel itself. And a site plan showing the previously approved fence, which is the hash line that surrounds the parcel. And then the section of the fence highlighted in yellow is the section that is requesting the alternative fencing material. The previously approved fence was an 8-foot chain link fence around the entirety of the perimeter of the parcel. Here you have one of the two options that were provided by the applicant for the waiver of the design. This is an example of the chain link fence with the grass hedge slats, of which I do have physical examples here on the dais. Please watch using the corrugated metal. It is sharp, so please be careful in handling that. And again, these are photos that were submitted by the applicant detailing the type of material that is being considered. Staff findings. The staff finds that the proposal for the grass hedge slat material meets applicable UDO requirements and aligns with the One Riverside Plan's recommended housing plan for the area in question. The corrugated metal fencing is specifically prohibited as a fencing material in section 1331.06 C4F. Staff does find that the grass hedge slat material will have minimal impact on the surrounding parcels, and the overall site layout and fencing material is not expected to create significant adverse impacts on nearby properties. Again, the applicant has received previous approval for the 8-foot chain link fence around the perimeter of the property. So the design waiver that was requested was only for that section that was highlighted in yellow. Staff does recommend approval of the design waiver with the condition that only the grass hedge slat material be approved and that relevant permits are applied for and permitted prior to the installation. And that will conclude staff report.
At this time, I believe our owner is here, an applicant. Mr. Isma?
Yes. Isma Chakbandarov, Beatrice Drive, Riverside. I, Isma Chakbandarov, affirm that the testimony I am about to give before Planning Commission is correct to be best my of knowledge.
Thank you. Anything you'd like for us to consider?
No, this is just to make it more privacy. And I had two kind of materials, and I didn't know which one I'll get it more, like enough to do it. So I wanted to see if I can get approval one of the other, which I'm okay. Whatever.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions before we move on to public comment? Any questions for staff or for the applicant? I have one.
Sure.
Do you know, because my concern with the material is that in a year, 2 years of being sun-baked, it's going to look like a dead hedge.
It's a kind of a plastic.
Right.
So, I mean, I can.
Do you know what the life expectancy
No,
is
I do
on
not.
that?
No.
Because I'm just,
I can research, but I believe there is a a lot of places installing that to make it look nicer, and plus it's privacy, they cannot see through.
And I have seen it used, and I
Yes.
can tell you, I don't find it to be pleasing to the eye. But
Well, it's
that's my
green.
opinion.
It's
Yes,
green.
it's green. It is
It's-
green, and it
it's
does,
look-
at first, looks like a hedge, but I am concerned about the fading and that. Staff, would there be any call if this started to fade quickly, just like if a fence starts peeling or anything like that? Is there any parameters for that in our code currently, since we have not really seen that material here in
It's
Riverside?
chain link. It's exactly as a chain link. Only it has the thing like around the,
Right, and I
Yeah.
understand, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about the green parts,
yeah.
okay? That it's, I'm worried about that starting to look like a dead bush. Because it, starts to fade out, just like when seasons change and that, and how's that gonna look? I'm trying to find out, do we have zoning code that requires that to be upkept at the level of when it was put in?
So that would fall under the property maintenance code, just like any other example that you gave, like a fence paint peeling or anything like that. If it were to fall into disrepair, it would be handled in a very similar nature.
And so that would include fading, that would include if, because of the
Ripping and
the
tearing.
ripping and tearing with all the wind activity we've had, and the I think it looks like a Christmas tree, starts coming apart, and becoming more opaque, that it would be requested either take it out and go to straight chain link or to replace it. Am I,
You're correct. It would essentially be handled just the same as any other property maintenance case. And it would follow the same exact procedure therefore. Yep.
okay.
Madam Chair, from a legal standpoint, any damage to any fencing material would fall under the exterior property maintenance code, whether that be it's too weathered, it's too faded, it becomes in disrepair, it's tattered. All of that follows the same type of principle as peeling paint or paint that's chipping. So that those aesthetic components are enforceable by the property maintenance code.
Can you bring up the where it shows the yellow line again, please? Okay, so along this yellow line, this is all housing, correct, on the other side, and that's what we're trying to shield from. And I totally get what you're trying to do, and I appreciate what you're trying to do. I just want to make sure that we're not
I understand.
opening ourselves up, for something else.
I can research if you like the material. I didn't do it, but I can do it if you like. And then see the.
And I appreciate that, I really do. How is that seen from the front of the property? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that visible from the front of the property, or is it only visible behind these houses? Because is that that's the wrought iron gate?
So I'm going to go back real quick to the aerial, so you can see it would obviously be the southernmost property line there. So yeah, it would be behind the houses. I don't know how it would look behind the houses, if that would be able to be seen from the road. Again, it would be an 8-foot chain link fence.
Where's the property?
And you can also see here, so these are the posts that are going in for the fencing material itself. So to give you a rough visualization of what that would look like.
Go back through the photo again.
That one?
That one. So go to the next photo.
No?
Where is that house?
So this is just to the west.
So go back to the other
So
property.
is that wrought iron his property that you
Yes,
see in
correct,
this?
yep, correct.
To
So
the west, so that property is where on this
I believe it'd be the 65, yep.
65?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so go to your next slide. So that's 65, there's the wrought iron fence that goes back. Go to the
Do you
next.
have the other side?
Other side?
Yep. So that would be, I believe it's 115.
So then, okay, if you take that wrought iron straight back, see where the corner is up here, straight back, then is that next thing at the tree line there, is that the chain link?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Is that what you
There
know to
is
be?
no, it's gonna be same material, the black wrought iron.
Yeah, it's wrought iron.
Yes.
That's wrought iron?
Yes.
It's going to here.
Chain link is only behind the properties.
To here.
Only behind the, okay, I see. Okay, I'm just trying to
Visualize
understand.
it and understand.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
didn't understand where that fence came.
Yeah, okay. So before we go on to public comment, because we're building up a few here, is there any other on-the-record questions for the applicant or for staff from the commissioners?
I don't have any comments.
Okay, all right, thank you. We're going to move on to public comment. Okay, Mr. Tieford?
My name's Dan Tieford, 15 Beatrice Drive, Riverside, Ohio. I affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. We was under the impression that we was here to address the fence that they already put up on Beatrice Drive. It's a wrought iron fence that is along the driveway they put in. They've got a gate. It's aesthetically against everything that's along Beatrice Drive. I don't know how they got a permit for it. They don't have an address. They've been using 65 Beatrice as their address. That is a house that's owned by Howard Hughes. Then they got an address of Carlton and Beatrice.
Well, for this case, we're only talking about the material they want to put on the chain link. The fence permit for the wrought iron has already been approved. So unless, per the case, I can't allow that because we're only talking about the stuff they want to use to turn the chain link into a non-opaque surface.
Well, how can things be approved when it was never heard by nobody?
There are some provisions in the code that does allow staff to approve different fencing in that, and we went through that because of how many cases we had had in the past. It's part of our, can you talk to that, the
Address that.
PUD?
So the chain link fence was permitted by right, the wrought iron was permitted by right. Those are all uses that were permitted by right.
We had a
Because
major
of their-
update on fencing.
Yes.
Well, I know you did, but a gate, they can't even see to get out of their driveway at 65 Beatrice because of that. And that's okay now. I could put a gate in my driveway. We're going to hell in a handbasket.
All right, moving on to our next citizen, Sherry Summers, is it?
Hi, I'm Sherry Summers at 3490 Old Troy Pike at Riverside, Ohio. Sherry Summers, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. Do we have that sample that's going around?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see that,
Mr.
please?
Smith.
You said it's sharp?
No, that's the metal piece that we won't allow.
Oh, this is the part that we won't allow.
Correct.
Correct.
It is not permitted by code at all.
Okay. Can you put that, would you mind putting that fence, the fence back up? The picture of what this is going to look like back up, if you
The
don't
stock
mind?
photo.
Yes, the stock photo, please.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Okay, and this is just the part that's going to go on on there?
It's supposed to weave in and out of the chain link.
Okay, yes.
Is my understanding.
Yes, I've seen this, I've seen this several times down in Florida. It doesn't last long. Of course, that's in the sunny heat of Florida. But, yeah, and he's going to be doing some research, I guess, on this to find out.
We could require it as a condition possibly if
yeah.
commissioners decide.
And I was just wondering, because he cut down all the trees and now he wants privacy. But, yeah, I guess this is gonna, yeah. Anyway, I just had to state my piece because I live right there. And now I can see, I live right at 3490, and now I can see Brant Pike from my backyard, from Old Troy Pike.
And you are listed on your sheet as opposed.
Yes.
Just for the record.
So
Well, just because, I mean, all those trees were there, and now they're all cut down. And part of mine are cut down on my property because of him.
Well, we can only discuss the fencing. I'm sorry.
That's fine. As long as this is, the sharp thing is not allowed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Charles Nash. Sir? And at this time, can I mark your paper as support, oppose, or neutral?
Not yet.
I
Charles
I
Nash.
will need that for the record for the clerk.
Yes, you will. Charles Nash, 105 Beatrice Drive. I state, Charles Nash, affirm to the testimony I'm about to give before the planning commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. So, again, I was under the impression it was with the wrought iron fence and the long driveway and the gate. That's why I came down here, because there were some other things. And I'm sorry, that fencing I don't like. I'm right there where he's got the fence right up against there, and I can see birds taking it, using it for nests. I can see birds sitting on there and go right down the whole side, and I look out my backyard and I've got that drainage on there. I think there should be something different that could go on there. I'm not for that one.
Okay, that's the only one we're talking about
Yep.
tonight, so opposed.
Yep. So, wanted to say more, but I'm not going to.
Thank you. But opposed, Mr. Nash?
Opposed.
Thank you. Okay, any rebuttal from our applicant at this time? I have no other forms submitted, so no rebuttal, okay. Anything else from commissioners before I close the public hearing and we go into deliberation?
So I do have a question for the people that have been out to the site. Are there other chain link fences out there? Or is everybody like a wooden privacy fence, or what's the aesthetic look like for that drive?
Well, tonight we're only talking about what we will allow to be put in the chain link. That's already been approved.
Inside the chain link for it to be privacy?
Privacy, correct.
Understood.
Because Commissioner Harrison, the chain link is by right, so this is a waiver about the opacity.
Okay, but, so what I was trying to get at, and my discussion wasn't necessarily about the chain link, but it was about the openness of what everything else looks like. Because I think he's trying to do privacy is what it seems like, and I just didn't know if everything else is open or if it's private, or.
I think you should ask that question.
what was my question again?
I think Mr. Owens is trying to ask a question about if there are, how much mix there,
Opacity.
yes, that there should be or can be. I think that's what
Right.
you're trying to say.
Yeah. What is the opacity that can be allowed on it? Do we know that? It's a question to the staff. I mean, I know we had done some things, I mean, is that considered as front yard?
So with the parcel in question, so typically a front yard is defined by which way a
Address.
structure would face, or you're facing onto
Or
the
what,
main road.
yeah, where's my driveway at?
Well, and so with this parcel being landlocked and there is no direct access to the parcel other than through another parcel. There is not a clearly defined front or side yard, which is why we brought this case to, one of the reasons we brought the case to Planning Commission for an extra level of overview and oversight, because those types of questions about front yard and opacity are not clearly defined, given the characteristics of this particular parcel.
Yeah, I need to know where's the entrance to this parcel at?
So.
How is he getting access to this fence to put it in? Where are the contractors, gaining their access?
So if you will look on your screen, he does own this parcel as well.
Okay.
So he owns that.
That fronts out
Okay.
onto Beatrice. But again, that is a separate parcel from the one that is in question.
And we don't know where back here is the front of the structure.
It's not clearly defined because there is no structure, there is no road frontage that would typically define what would be the front yard of a parcel.
Because if this is the front of the parcel, it's a 4-foot limit, correct?
Okay, well then I'm going to bring up a whole other issue after that comment.
I mean, if I don't know what the front yard is on this, I can't
But one thing
confidently
also
say
with
yes.
zoning is also making sure that there's health and safety. And so that's one reason we allow fences for vacant lots.
Okay, now you're answering my question.
To ensure that, sites like this, especially this large site, can be enclosed and protect private property rights.
Any other questions for staff?
No. No.
So I just want to confirm, we're meeting about this because this hedge slat is not approved in our UDO?
No, and there's only so much we can do as staff, and
Right.
as Cody said, got extra overview, so I won't, this is his case.
No, Ms. Holt's correct. Yeah, so this type of material is not specifically called out in the zoning resolution, and as such, it requires that it be brought to Planning Commission.
So this would be a waiver. It's not like approving a site plan that has specific rules. It is a waiver because it is not addressed.
Correct.
Correct? Yes.
That's correct.
So I just want to confirm, because of course I haven't read the entire UDO on fencing and gates. Are there things that we do approve for, like chain link fences, that is not this?
That would be by right
So
or without being a waiver?
Exactly.
So the section of the UDO that references the type of material that you are allowed to have states, a fence or wall shall be constructed using traditional or natural materials such as wood, brick, stone, wrought iron, chain link, vinyl, aluminum, or other similar material unless specifically prohibited elsewhere in the UDO, which is where the portion of the staff report that talks about the corrugated metal fencing being prohibited, that's where that comes from, is it is prohibited in other sections of the UDO. But because this material is not specifically called out, nor is it specifically prohibited, it is brought to Planning Commission for the design waiver.
But the vinyl slats would be allowed.
Correct, I believe, yes.
Madam Chair, to that point, and I think to Commissioner Harrison's point, from a legal standpoint, the key, from my legal opinion, to all is the code requires a waiver as long as the material that's requested, in this case, it's the artificial greenery, is not specifically prohibited by the code, and that artificial greenery is not. The corrugated metal is, which is why it's not even on the table. But from a legal standpoint, what you're here tonight to decide is whether or not a waiver based on the standards for approval set forth in the staff report, which do allow waivers in circumstances such as this, where there are unique aspects to this parcel. With there being no structure, it's difficult to determine front side yard, doesn't really exist. So this commission has latitude to determine whether or not, based on what's been presented to you, the privacy concerns, the health and safety concerns, et cetera, because the artificial greenery is not a prohibited material, it is on the table for this commission to determine whether or not a waiver of strict application of the code is reasonable and whether it permits beneficial use of the property And that would be a grant of the waiver as suggested by city staff. Obviously, there's alternative motions that the commission can take, but that's the crux of what you're here to decide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we go into official deliberation? Okay, so at this time, I'll close the public hearing and we'll go into deliberation. So I'm just going to kind of start. From the time I saw the material, I've already voiced my concern. I have major concern about what it's going to look like in, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And Mr. Smith addressed some of that. And I know this, to me, is just part of my concern is I don't want to pick neighbor against neighbor either, in neighbors having to call in saying, this looks like really bad, but yet our zoning people can't see it from the road. And we know that they can't necessarily go onto property unless invited by a resident. Whether that should be my concern or not, as a citizen and having a similar issue where I had to do that, it is a concern for me as a resident of this community. And with no knowledge of the material, except a little bit of what we heard in testimony from someone who saw it used in a different state, and just kind of what makes sense when you're looking at a painted plastic. I have my concerns, and I guess I'm at the point I would either probably be voting to deny or postpone until we had more information regarding the product. Because it's not in our code, and I am afraid it may come up in the future. So I would really like a lot more information on that product before we set a precedent.
I want to say that I agree with you in regards to the product itself. We don't know if it's slated to last 5 years, 10 years, 2 months. It could be looking different. But I also, for me, I think that just in what was read from the UDO, that there are by right materials that we don't even have to review that probably are suitable for your chain link fence to provide privacy, that wouldn't cause any issues as far as we go to make any decision like that.
Any other comments for deliberation?
I would say, looking at a different material, more like the vinyl slats that go in between the chain link fence would probably be a better solution in aesthetic and for the neighbors.
Okay. Any other comments or deliberation comments?
I know we can't reopen the public hearing, but would the applicant be able to speak again?
Mr. Law Director?
So the applicant can rebut
Okay.
the deliberations of this
Okay.
body. Since they're in open session, you don't have to
Reopen
reopen the
it.
public
Okay.
hearing.
So,
All right.
so the reason why.
Applicant, could you step to the mic if you don't mind? And I think Mr. Hairston has a question for you, and then if you'd like to rebut anything that we've talked about, you'll have 5 minutes to do that.
So I'm inquiring or wondering if there are, other materials that you'd be willing to use that are already in the UDO?
Well, originally chain link, it was okay with me.
Yeah,
The
chain
only reason I changed my mind because I had so many false complaints that we had to meet a few times that to prove that there's nothing, because we had a complaint that we're building something already. And then I got email, oh, you're so. Then I decided to make it private that nobody gets bothered, Other than that, fence, chain link fence works for me. It's cheaper, I already got it. I can just do chain link fence, that's it.
Okay. So, that was my question, because what I was going to kind of get to is if you were really wanting to use the greenage to put in your fence, to possibly postpone this until you got details on how long it would last, what type of material would be. But if you're okay,
I'm okay with chain link fence.
And there are materials by right that you're entitled to use, so you could check with staff. If commissioners decide to make that and choose to deny this, there are other materials you could acquire.
Thank you.
You know, but I don't know what the decision is
I
gonna
think
be.
I'll go with chain link. I already have it, that, like I said, the reason only I changed my mind to make it more privacy, because we had the false, complaints that we had to go to the site a few times and show that there's nothing happening.
Right.
I
Well,
understand.
and there's also, if it would be denied tonight, you can always go back to staff and say, I want to add the vinyl
Sure.
slats or things like that.
Yeah.
And that is always a possibility. So,
Thank you very much.
okay.
I think that's a by right material.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
so you wouldn't even have to come
All
back to
right.
it.
So is there a motion on the floor?
I make a motion to deny the waiver request under PC case number 26-004.
I
Three
second it.
zeros.
26-0004.
I second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Hairston and a second by Mr. Dowdell to deny PC case number 26-0004. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Dowdell,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
All right. So just work with Ms. Holt, or, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith is actually on this case. I'm not used to having two people up here. And they can help you with any questions you might have, sir. Okay, moving on. Staff discussion topics. Update, revised UDO and zoning map. Are there updates?
There are updates. So on Monday, the city council voted to approve both the UDO text, the Unified Development Ordinance text, and the zoning map. So with that, there was a change from what the recommendation from this body. Changes included a removal of the Roar Boulevard Mixed District. That was removed from the code and from the map. Another change from the recommendation of this body from the council included a few changes to the backyard bird regulations. So chickens and quails are permitted on smaller lots with a registration. There are a lot of the recommendations, well, I will say regulations, the things that were discussed, I will say, what was that, 2024, by this
Body.
commission, were included in the text as well as a few other things like personal slaughter and health and sanitation regulations as well. But other than that, a lot of things stayed intact. There were some changes to the fence regulations as well. Corner lots will allow chain link fences in the high residential areas as long as they are well maintained and do not impede the sight triangle and vision. Those are the three major changes.
That's not bad at all. Awesome. Anything else from staff?
Yeah, just an update on where we're at as far as implementing everything related to that. So the council did read that as an emergency, which means that it was effective immediately. So we are currently under the new zoning code. So anything that is submitted after it was approved on the 16th is now going to be considered under the new code. The cases here tonight were submitted under the previous code, so they were considered as such. So one of the things we're working on, getting revised permit applications live on the website, updating the citizen portal. We have been working with Montgomery County and with the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission to get the zoning maps updated. And we also have gotten the new version of the code to the codifier to get that taken care of and get it officially implemented.
So since that went into effect immediately, does that have any impact on case number 1 since we postponed it?
It will not, because the original application was submitted.
Okay,
Yep.
that worried me.
Yeah.
After you tell me it was immediate. I would hope that you would have piped in and said.
Yes.
That's going to change these rules, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
it goes on when the original application was submitted. That way there
Okay.
is none of that confusion about, is it this rule, is it that rule, is it, so, yes, ma'am, that's
Okay,
correct.
awesome. All right. Our clerk and law director, anything?
No, I think I've said enough tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
help
it.
through tonight.
Thank you very much.
Matters by commissioners. Mr. Dowdell, anything tonight?
I do not have anything tonight.
Mr. Vasquez?
The scheduled Easter activity that we had at the church had to be canceled, so we will not be doing that this year. So hopefully next year. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
I want to go to you last this time. Mr. Owens?
Nothing at this time.
I just want to thank staff and thank everybody that's still here that came tonight. It's great to have input. We appreciate your input tremendously. And we do listen. Sometimes our hands are tied by the UDO, but we do appreciate it. It shows that we're hopefully all trying to work together for a better Riverside. The community Easter egg hunt put on Riverside JC's will be April 4th. That's the Saturday before Easter at Beverly Gardens, 10 a.m. Suggested time to be there is 9:45. Bring your own Easter basket and dress for the weather because we never know. It's Ohio at this point. I have no clue. So now I would also like to welcome back Mr. Jonathan Harrison from Serving Our Country. He's been, we missed him over the last 6 months?
6 months.
6 months that he's been on duty for our military. Welcome back. Thank you for your service. And yes,
Thank you all. Thank you all. Don't make me cry. Thank you all for your support. Greatly appreciated.
and at this time, sir, you have the floor.
Well, first, thank you for that. I don't do much. I'm civil engineering, so it was fun. I learned a lot of new stuff, did a lot of cool stuff, and it was a great life experience. But even a better experience, I just was substitute teaching today in Mad River Schools. That was far better than anything that I did while I was gone. So.
What grade?
Today I did all grades. I substituted at Beverly Gardens as the gym teacher, so I got to see all grades. I even got to see my son come in, and so that was great. Tomorrow I'm going to be at the high school, so yeah. But that was far more fun and greater than all the things that I got to do. But it's all been great experiences, and thank you all, and I'm glad to be back.
We are glad to have you. And seeing that there's no further business on my sheet, not that I could tell with all my notes, I will adjourn this meeting with everyone's thanks.
So where were you deployed to?
I was on TDY, but I went to Texas because I
Okay.
just had joined. And
Right.
then I was in Missouri